Yeah, this is a much better program.
And welcome to tonight's show. I hope it's not going to be your worst nightmare. I hope it's going to be your best daydream. Huh? How about that? Hey, welcome to the show. Joining us tonight, as always, is our progressive curmudgeon, Sam Clowder, and famed film
Hi.
documentary filmmaker Gregory Franklin. Thank you guys for being here. As always, we've got a great show. And normally you are welcome to call in, and you're still welcome to try to call in, but KCAA has been having some problems with their phone lines. So they may or may not be working, but you can give it a try. 909 383 1000. 909 383 1000. If you get in, we'll connect you. We'll be glad to talk with you, get your comments on what we're talking about, anything else that you would like to bring up on tonight's show. Well, listen, we've got a whole range of topics, everything from the ice raids to fluoride to the Afrikaners. And I even got a little cannabis corner thing to talk about relating to Mother and Father's Day. But I want to talk about this one thing I came across earlier this week, which was on a site called sciencealert.com. It's interesting, sciencealert.com. You might want to check it out sometime. It's got a lot of these short stories about everything from black holes in the distant universe to animal problems going on. It's very interesting. It's all about different science things. But anyway, they have this one titled "World's Richest 10% Cause Two-Thirds of Global Heating." World's richest 10% cost two-thirds, that's 66 and two-thirds percent of global heating. Says that the world's wealthiest 10% of individuals are responsible for two-thirds of global heating since 1990, researchers said. How the rich consume and invest has substantially increased the risk of deadly heat waves and drought. In the first study to quantify the impact of concentrated private wealth on extreme climate events. The study's lead author, Sarah Sornheimer, who is a scientist at the ETH Zurich research schools, said, quote, "We link the carbon footprints of the wealthiest individuals directly to real-world climate impacts. It's a shift from carbon accounting towards climate accountability. Compared to the global average, for example, the richest 1% contributed 26 times more to once a century heat waves and 17 times more to in that in to deforestation in the Amazon, according to these findings. Emission from the wealthiest 10% in China and the United States, which together account for nearly half of global carbon emission pollution, each led to threefold increase in the rise in heat extremes. Increase in the frequency of 1 in 100 year peak summer heat extremes is selected regions attributes to the top 10% and 1% of emitters. Now here's where it gets interesting. Burning fossil fuels and deforestation have heated Earth's average surface by 1.3 degrees Celsius, mostly during the last 30 years. Schoenheimer and colleagues combined economic data and climate simulations to trace emissions from different global income groups and assess their impact on specific types of climate induced extreme heat. The researchers also emphasized the role of emissions embedded in financial investment rather than just lifestyle and personal consumption. They said climate action that doesn't address the outsized responsibilities of the wealthiest members of society risk missing one of the most powerful levers we have to reduce future harm. Climate Impacts Research Group is at the International Institute for Applied Systems said there should be a billionaire's tax. Now here we go. This Senator Warren would love this one. Owners of capital could be held accountable for climate impacts through progressive taxes on wealth and carbon intensive investments. This is from a science organization. Earlier research has shown that taxing asset related emissions is more equitable than broad carbon taxes, which tend to burden those on the lower income levels. Researchers combined economic data and climate simulations to trace emissions from the different global income groups. Recent initiatives to increase taxes on the super rich and multinationals have mostly stalled. Last year, Brazil, a host of the G20, pushed for a 2% tax on the net worth of individuals worth more than $1 billion in assets. Although G20 leaders agreed to, quote, engage cooperatively to ensure that the ultra high net worth individuals are effectively taxed, end quote, there has been no follow up to date. In 2021, nearly 140 countries agreed to work toward a global corporate tax for multinational companies, with nearly half endorsing a minimum rate of 15%. But those talks have stalled as well. Big surprise. Almost a third of the world's billionaires are from the United States, more than China, India, and Germany combined, according to Forbes magazine. According to the anti poverty group NGO Oxfam, the richest 1% have accumulated 42 trillion in new wealth over the past decades. It says the richest 1% have more wealth than the lower 95% combined. There we go. This is from a science alert.
I
Check.
think that I think that's a great idea to be taxing the uber wealthy on their investments, which the investments are what's actually causing the global warming.
that
And I think
that was an interesting thing. They talk about you got to look at the financial, just not the personal lifestyle. And yeah, that's absolutely true. And Elizabeth Warren has, back was it 20 years ago when she was running, she wanted to impose a 2% wealth tax on people over a certain thing there, and it's never happened. And you think these billionaires, they could easily afford to pay 2% a year of their overall wealth. That means they get to keep 98% of it. And and
and
and it ain't going to happen. You're right about that. Anyway, but there it is. Global
Did
wealth, global climate change, all the problems associated with climate change is somewhat. Once again, the richer the problem, the richer the problem, and yet they have so much power because they have so much money that nothing ever gets done about it, and nothing will get done about it. You're so right. Okay, all right.
that's not necessarily true.
What? What do you mean?
Um, well, it depends on what they do with their wealth. I mean, I totally agree about taxes, but I watched Fareed Zakaria Sunday, and what Bill Gates said completely changed my opinion of Phil. Um, Gates is giving away 99% of his wealth. He's given out hundreds of billions of dollars already, and he's got a plan over the next 20 years to give it all away. And the plan is astounding: inoculations and food for primarily Africa. And it was just so comprehensive. It was so, I've spoken against Bill Gates for decades. Um, but the way he is choosing to use his wealth is an astounding example that should be followed by
Yeah.
everyone in his class of wealth.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it really is astounding. I mean, to change my mind is hard, but it completely changed my opinion of Bill Gates at this point, and
yeah,
I highly recommend it. You can
and
watch
Mo,
Sicaria
and
on streaming and see
he's
the
an
interview.
outlier. He is a total outlier with that. All the billionaires are not going to give their money away or something like that. Who knows what they're going to do with it? But it's not going to be government
I
used.
guess they think they're going to take it to heaven and
That's right.
pave the roads with gold, huh?
That's right. They're going to take it with them. They're going to take it with them.
Uh huh.
Gregory, Gregory,
Yeah.
you wanted to talk about ice raids. What do you want to?
Yeah. Well, one of the things just this morning, I get this news feed from Yahoo News, and there was this guy who's on Twitch, and his name is Hassan Abi, and he's returning from France to O'Hare International Airport, and ICE takes him aside and grills him for 2 hours about his politics and what he does for a living and all this kind of stuff. And this isn't the only report I've heard that it's just like this. This is happening to lawyers and all kinds of people when they're coming from somewhere to the United States. They're American citizens we're talking about. And the other thing that brought this up for me was the two videos that I saw of people being picked up off the street by ICE, unidentified ICE officers, just walking up to people, and it all seems to be centered around whether or not they support Palestinians, and that's what this guy was. Now, this guy Hassan Abi, his main thing is playing video games on Twitch, and evidently there's a huge audience for it because he has enough money to travel to France. And this is like really scary. I think that we are living in a dictatorship right now, and it's getting. Uh, I think fear is a good response to what's going on because this could happen to anybody. It's there. It's happening to American citizens now.
You
Yeah,
know, this reminds me that Nixon kept an enemies list, but his actions against them were always surreptitious through the FBI or the CIA. It's now it's right in your face. If you're on Trump's enemies list, which I'm proud to say I was, and I'm no longer living in the U.S. because of it, then you're going to get treated that way. Doesn't matter.
well,
Doesn't
look
matter
how
whether you're a U.S. citizen born and bred there or not.
yeah.
You're going to get mistreated in any way he can execute revenge.
Look how he is retaliating against the law firms that he sees as having gone after him with banning them from federal buildings and severing their contracts and making it so their lawyers can't defend their clients because they can't go into a federal building and this kind of stuff. He is totally, unlike Nixon, like you said, who did it kind of surreptitiously. He is out and above board about going after people that he felt uh, he feels went after them. Talking about the immigration, there's a difference between immigration agents and border patrol people. Immigration agents, they they investigate immigration violations, enforce custom laws, pursue human trafficking, whereas border patrol agents do that. They patrol the border, and so there's a difference. So, but here's an interesting article. What they're doing? It says that immigration agents target 7-Eleven stores in nationwide sweep.
Ooh,
U.S.
ooh,
U.S.
that's
Immigration
great.
and Custom Enforcement agents blitz dozens and dozens and dozens of 7-Eleven stores before dawn last Wednesday to interview employees and deliver audit notifications, carrying out what the agency said was the largest operation targeting an employer since President Trump took office. They went after this one employer. ICE said its agents showed up at 98 stores and made 21 arrests That's all they made. I don't know how many hundreds of agents. 98 stores. They must have had hundreds of agents involved in this. And out of all those stores, they made 21 arrests, describing the operation as a warning to other companies that may have unauthorized workers on their payroll. Thomas Homan, the agency's top official of the ICE, said today's actions send a strong message to U.S. businesses that hire and employ an illegal workforce. ICE will enforce the law, and if you are found to be breaking the law, you will be held accountable. Holman characterized the operation as a new front in the Trump administration's broader immigration crackdown and its effort to increase deportations. ICE agents have made 40% more arrests than in the past year. Trump said he would deport millions. Now he's getting them out of 7-Eleven. Businesses that hire illegal workers are a pull factor for illegal immigration, and we are working hard to remove this magnet, Holman said. ICE will continue its efforts to protect jobs for American workers. ICE said its agents sent agents to deliver audit notifications and conduct interviews at 6 a.m., temporarily shutting down 7-Eleven stores in the District of Columbia and in 17 states. California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Washington. Where did people get their morning coffee with all the 7-Eleven stores shut down? Well, let's see.
That's
Irvine-based
ridiculous. That's
Texas
ridiculous, Lenny. But I mean, but
7-Eleven is based in
what's
Irvine,
worse is that they arrested the mayor and congresswoman of Newark, New Jersey,
yeah,
when
we'll
they
get
wanted
to
to investigate a
yeah.
location.
Going on more about 7-Eleven. The Irvine, it's based in Texas, by the way. 7-Eleven is based in Texas. I wonder what Ken Paxton thinks about that. It has more than 60,000 stores worldwide to its website and statement. The company said it was not responsible for the hiring of their individual franchise owners. So anyway, that's kind of interesting. Going after 7-Eleven. And you're right, Sam. They went after the mayor and a judge. They
No,
went after
no,
the
the
sheriff.
mayor and the congresswoman went after them.
That's right.
They had
Okay.
the right to inspect that facility, and ICE arrested them.
Uh-huh. Right. Okay. And here's another
The ICE
interesting.
agents are provoking people enough so that they can actually cite a crime and then arrest them. And these
Yeah.
people were like disorderly conduct or something like that. But I mean, it's like they're just making up stuff and escalating contacts with people so that they can arrest them. And then once they get them in custody, then they try to figure out whether they're here legally or not. That's one of the things that I think is really bad about how Trump is approaching this thing, because most of the people that they are arresting don't have anything to do with illegal immigration. What they have to do with is their politics, whether they're pro-Trump or pro-Palestinian or whatever. That's what they're really going for. And I think part of the reason is because there are so many people who are here illegally are traveling under the radar. They're not submitting themselves to places where they could be clocked.
Right. Yeah. Like 7-Eleven stores.
Yeah,
Uh,
for example.
here's
7
another.
Eleven stores, interestingly enough, I used to work for them. Do
Uh-huh.
you know what their parent company is?
No.
Tandy Leather. This is back from the 60s. And later, their other claim to fame was Radio Shack.
Oh, that another icon of the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another thing on ICE that's interesting. I think the article is titled "How Two Unmarked SUVs Fan Fears That ICE Was Detaining Nannies in D.C." By the time lawyers arrived Wednesday morning at the leafy playground in one of D.C.'s most affluent neighborhoods, the rumors had already alarmed parents across the city. ICE agents were taking nannies and leaving children in the park. Message on group emails.
They're
It
trying to
goes
make this as
not
cruel as
not
possible.
trying to create hysteria, began one message that ricocheted from one parent to another. It went on, they are in Forest Hills right now in full tactical gear, and children are being left behind. As concerns grew, neighbors lined the block. An elected official jetted to the Forest Hills playground. Immigration attorneys handed out Know Your Right cards in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole to any nannies they could find. The U.S. ICE official later said the Washington Post told the Washington Post that agents had not targeted nannies and that the playground nor any of the other districts in this week. Still, the unease group in the nation's capital is not abated. Tales of nannies being questioned and detained came during a week in which D.C. restaurants were served documents by Homeland Security demanding to see proof of workers' legal status as reports continued to spread that ICE arresting Maryland parents in front of their children. There we go. This is what's
When are they
happening.
going to go to Mar-a-Lago and arrest all the illegal immigrants that serve Mar-a-Lago?
And
Thank
still
you.
are, I am sure. And since Trump owns Mar-a-Lago, he's the one who's responsible. So they should be arresting Trump and serving him with papers for hiring illegal immigrants. But don't hold your breath on that one, right?
The United States is the laughing stock of the world.
Yeah.
Right now, that's true. That's true.
All right. So the other thing, all relating to the immigration in a way, is you've probably all heard about the white Afrikaners who have come to the United States under refugee status. Um, excuse me. Um, in a controversial move, the Trump administration, excuse me one second,
When you say
controversial
Afrikaners, you
move,
mean Nazis or neo-Nazis?
no, Afrikaners, South Africa. In a controversial move, the Trump administration has granted refugee status to 54 white Afrikaner South Africans, citing alleged racial discrimination in their homeland. This decision comes while refugees programs for countries like Afghanistan, Congo, and Syria remain suspended. So these people, like from Afghanistan, who used to work for help the United States when they're there, they can't be refugees anymore. But 54 white Afrikaners from South Africa are
Well,
coming
they,
in now.
they must
Uh,
be rich then.
no, the Afrikaners are set to arrive in the U.S. yesterday on May 12th, and will be greeted by high-level officials from the Department of State and Homeland Security. An uncommon gesture for new refugees. Usually, high-level officials don't greet refugees coming into the country. Critics argue that this action reflects a racial bias in U.S. immigration policy. Big surprise, it's always been racially biased, favoring white applicants over black and brown individuals fleeing similar or worse conditions. The expedited process for the Afrikaners who have been granted refugee status, typically reserved for extreme cases, contrasts sharply with the prolonged and often denied applications from refugees from like Afghanistan and Syria. The South African governor has condemned the U.S. decision, stating that Afrikaners remain the most privileged economic group in the country. And that is very true because, as it turns out, where did I see this? Oh boy, hold on.
That's what I said. They must have
Said
money.
for it, formal apartheid ended 30 years ago, where whites completely dominated the country.
No, official apartheid, you mean.
Yeah,
Legal
yeah,
apartheid.
yeah. I said formal, official, formal, whatever. Yet
Yeah,
white South Africans still dominate South Africa's economy. White
exactly.
white South
Unofficial
African
apartheid.
White South Africans make up about 7% of the population, but hold more than 90% of the top corporate management jobs. Black South Africans, who represent more than 80% of the population, fill only about 70% of these jobs. Black South Africans are also 5 times as likely to be unemployed as their white counterparts. So, but these uh, white South Africans are being come to this country,
I
coming
think
to
a
this
lot of
country.
that has to
Well,
do with the
yeah, you
that's where we
remember
want money
you,
from.
you remember to quote Trump, Mark, I'm quoting Trump, when in his first term he said he didn't want any immigrants from shithole countries like Nigeria.
Right.
But he's getting rich ones from South Africa now.
The notion that white South Africans are oppressed has been widely circulated among far right groups, both in the U.S. and abroad. figures like Tucker Carlson and white nationalist blogs have long pushed this idea to argue that white people are facing global persecution. Trump's executive order echoed this narrative almost verbatim, fueling criticism that his immigration decisions are rooted in ideological alignment rather than humanitarian need.
Okay, but so
All right.
this is a fact. What are you guys going to do about it? You're United States residents.
Well, do you want me to go? I don't want you want me to go back to I'm a Democrat. With
What
this
difference
would
does it make? You're a United
this
States citizen. Your
yeah.
tax money is paying for this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I know. Well, we have to try to get things changed. Once again, we this administration is no one is it surprised to say this administration is a racist. Like my show, white evangelical Christian nationalists. That's what this administration is all about. That's the people that this administration kowtows to. That's their base. And so this
Evidence
is not a surprise that white Afrikaners are being leapfrogged into this country, getting housing and food assistance and all this kind of stuff, while other people who are in far more dire situation than people who we've actually caused to be in these dire situations, like the people coming from Afghanistan or from the Latin American countries where we had our crazy drug war going on and stuff. The ones that caused all those problems, and these people can't come in. We didn't cause the problems in South Africa that we're letting these white Afrikaners in. It's all
the
just
same thing
racial
that's
basis.
the same thing that's happening inside the country because ICE doesn't seem to be as focused on the northern border, which is longer than the southern border, than they are the southern border. And the difference is because the people coming across the border from the north are generally not of color.
And there's not very many Canadians want to come into the United States.
Particularly now, for crying out loud.
Yeah, now, well, you come to the United States, you don't have health care anymore. And so, when I used to live, where my parents used to live in this uh, community in Palm Springs, about half the residents there were from Canada. And every year they would leave to go back to Canada for like 4 or 5 or 6 months because if they didn't, they would lose their health care.
Yep.
So anyway, it's unbelievable. Um,
Yeah. They don't go down to Palm Springs anymore. They go further south, San Felipe.
yeah, and so here it says Trump's executive order, about allowing white South Africans to come in. Is not in 2008. He tweeted that he was asking his administration to investigate the large-scale killing of white farmers in South Africa and
No,
false
wait a second. You made a mistake there. Not 2008. Trump didn't have an
2018,
administration in 2008.
2018.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, killing white farmers and falsely claimed that the government was seizing their farms. The president tagged Fox News and former host Tucker Carlson in his post.
Yeah.
Earlier that evening, Carlson had said that the black-led government had passed legislation allowing land to be confiscated on the basis of race and criticized Trump's department for inaction on it. Anyway, so there we go. More, racial-based everything. Anyway, so all right.
And here's one thing that's frustrating me, Lanny. This guy in Michigan, 13th congressman, his name is Sri Thanadar, uh, filed 7 articles of impeachment against Trump. And he had a few supporters in the House, but they withdrew their support when they found out that the Democratic leadership hadn't vetted these 7 articles of impeachment. I saw them. I mean, they're all obvious crimes that Donald Trump has committed in the last 3.5 months. But I'm thinking about this. The people who are against these articles of incorporation are the
Impeachment.
leadership of the Democratic Party. And I'm thinking, who would have thought that the thing that would bring the House of Representatives, Republican, MAGA Publican, and Democrat together would be that they're deciding that we're not going to try to impeach Donald Trump. And that's just absolutely stupid. This is an opportunity for the Democrats to actually make a statement about what they see happening here, and they're not taking it. I don't get it, man. Somebody's going to have to explain that
I'll
to me.
give it. I'll give it. If you don't get it, I'll give it to you, Gregory. They did that twice in his first term, didn't succeed, and now they don't have any majorities in either house. It's not going to go anywhere. Why should they waste their time right now? If they get majorities in next year, they might move forward with it. But why do it now? It's a waste of time. I mean, what do you? It's like you're just grandstanding.
Something, Sam. It's something. That's the thing. The
Well,
Democrats don't appear to be doing anything.
this I saw on CNN or no MSNBC Sunday night a review of Jane Fonda and her activities of the war. Well, she went to D.C. and got arrested.
Yeah,
You want to do something about it?
get
Get out in
arrested.
public and do something about it. That's going to attract more attention than filing articles of impeachment. My God, those articles of impeachment will be just as good, if not better, next year or in 27 when if you've got majorities in both houses.
It
But
takes
right
that
now
long to do
it's
an
not going to
impeachment.
go anywhere.
It
And
takes
even
that long to do an impeachment.
It's a waste
How
of
do they
time.
know? How does the Democrats know that the composition of the House is not going to change?
it won't change until 2027. It
Yes,
can't
I know
change
that,
this
but
year.
what I'm saying is that what the Democrats are saying by not backing these articles of impeachment are that they anticipated that they're still not going to have an
Oh,
insurmountable
they're
majority in
not going to
20.
win in 2026, is what you're saying?
No.
Well, that's true, but I mean, I understand what Sam is saying. I mean, right now it's blowing in the wind. Filing the product is. I mean, I think they should do it just because it'll get publicity, and the people will read about what the impeachments are, and they'll read about all these things, the horrible things that Trump have done. That's true. But if
It's
they're doing
something.
it, but if they doing it with the intention that it's really going to happen, then they're living in a fantasy land because it's not going to happen. Even in 2027, if they take over the Congress and they take over the Senate, unless they have a two-thirds majority in the Senate, they'll never get an impeachment because you got to have a 60% or a 66% vote
But
to
things have
impeach them.
changed since the last time that Trump tried to do this. I mean, we are more clearly a dictatorship at this point than we were at
Oh,
that time. There are still Republicans left in the House of
oh,
Representatives.
I don't think so. I think
And
these
at least they
Republicans
should.
are more cowardly when it comes to Trump than Democrats are cowardly in being bold against Trump. They
Yeah,
are
they'll
so
talk
they
a
are
they'll
so
talk a
coward.
streak until Trump threatens to primary their election,
That's
and then they
exactly
shut
it,
up.
Sam. That's exactly it, Sam. Trump threatens to primaries, get some another right wing MAGA Republican to run against them, and they're afraid they'll lose their seat because that's where most senators or most people lose their seat. They lose it in the primary. They don't lose in the general election.
Trump hasn't had that much success with trying to primary people. I mean,
Oh
a
yes, he
few
has.
a few
Everyone
of
he's
them.
threatened to primary has caved.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. In some cases he didn't, but just the threat it puts him in line. Anyway, I mean, look what the House and the Senate is letting Trump get away with. He is emasculating the entire congressional legislature. He's
No, they're
by
not letting him get away with it. They're supporting him to do it.
You're right. All right. You're more direct. They're actually
They're
letting
enabling him.
they want to let they're enabling him. I'm saying they're afraid to stop him. Whatever. They're not stopping him. They're enabling him. You're right. Fair enough.
And that's
So
what's frustrating because, Democrats and Republicans are together on the fact that they're not going to stop it.
Well, you guys, you know where I stand on this. It's America, love it or leave it. I
yeah.
left it.
Okay. One other thing here I want to get into in a little different tact let's get back onto our favorite health punching guy, RFK Jr. As you know, he's
Worm brain,
not
worm
not
head.
not only is he anti-vaccine, of course, he's also anti-fluoride. And today, the U.S. health regulators announced plans Tuesday to phase out fluoride containing supplements, sometimes used to strengthen children's teeth, uh, against when especially when they don't have fluoride or enough fluoride in their water. So, number states like Utah have mandated that no water can be fluoride, and they went ahead and passed the law saying that the state will help pay for fluoride treatments because the kids can't get the fluoride in their water anymore. But here, the health department is now saying we're going to phase out fluoride containing supplements. So these kids in Utah, when this happens, can't get fluoride, and yet fluoride is extremely important for for dental health. It's caused a major decrease in cavities, and groups like the American Dental Association are very much in favor of fluoride. They have a thing here that talks about why fluoride is important. In case you don't know, this is interesting. Fluoride benefits both children and adults. Here's how. Before teeth break through the gums, the fluoride taken in from foods, beverages, and dietary supplements makes tooth enamel, which is the hard surface of the tooth, stronger, making it easier to resist tooth decay. This was what's called a systemic benefit. After teeth erupt, fluoride helps rebuild, remineralize weakened tooth enamel and reverses early sign of tooth decay. When you brush your teeth with fluoride toothpaste or use other fluoride products, the fluoride is applied. The, the fluoride is applied to the surface of your teeth. So and so here's the thing: fluoride is important. It does the job. And the American Dental Association, you think the American Dental Association would be opposed to fluoride because if you don't get fluoride on your teeth, you're more likely to get tooth decay. That's money for dentists. Dentists don't make money when your teeth are healthy. And yet the American Dental Association says, yes, we need to have water in our fluoride. You need to be able to use water fluoride supplements. And here we have RFK getting using his power to get the FDA to pull approval of fluoride-containing supplements. Crazy.
Is that what when they say fluoride supplements? Are they talking about toothpaste and mouthwash?
Yeah. It's,
Oh, that's
yeah.
insane.
You
So
know
it's
what? Let me tell you something. What convinced me about fluoride was the fact when I found out that Britain does not put fluoride in their water, and that's why they all have bad teeth. They have bad teeth to look at. They have bad teeth to chew with. They, and you know what I'm talking about. And the
Yeah.
difference is fluoride in the water in the United States.
Yeah, and that's you're going to see. Watch these states that have pulled fluoride. Watch what happens to the tooth decay. It will probably go up. They're estimating about 25%. So if you're a dentist, you're going to want to move to Utah and set up your operation there because you're
No,
going to have a lot more business.
dentist. Have you looked at the prices of dentistry lately? Dentists make more money than anything.
Oh
They
yeah, I know. Oh
even
boy, do they
without
ever?
tooth decay. Okay. I mean, I went to Tijuana for all my dentistry and I paid 20% of what I would pay. In fact, I could go to Tijuana and get dental work done for less money than the deductible in my insurance in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I have friends here who live here in the Palm Springs area, and they drive down to Calexico and down to
Mexicali and Tijuana.
yeah, and all those places, and get their dental work done there, and they seem to be doing very very well with their teeth. So yeah, the dentists do make a lot of money here, but there's a lot of money in just keeping your teeth healthy, cleanings and all that kind of stuff. But cleanings and that kind of stuff is a paltry amount compared to getting fillings and getting new teeth and all that kind of stuff. And that's where the dentist makes most of their money. Um, and even when you get dental insurance, you're still paying through the roof for dental care. Just unbelievable,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I had insurance and Medi-Cal, and still my deductible was more expensive than just going to Tijuana and paying for it straight out.
Yeah, but yeah, and the thing is, and dental care is really important. I mean, the healthier teeth directly impacts your
The
overall
rest of
health.
your health. Yeah.
After your health, if you don't have healthy dents, you're gonna have cardiovascular problems. You're gonna have cancer problems. You have all kinds of problems. Um, if you don't take good care of your health, take good care of your teeth. And unfortunately, most people can't afford to do it. You're right, Sam. It's ridiculously expensive. Um, okay, I want to now. I want to go into. I haven't done a little cannabis corner lately, and I thought I would like to talk about one thing. Mother's Day we just happened, and next month is Father's Day, and so I want to talk about cannabis for your mother and your father. Uh, cannabis is tailor made for for the ailments of advancing years, chronic pain, insomnia, arthritis, glaucoma, depression, appetite loss, and so many other debilitating ailments of the elderly are effectively and safely treated by cannabis. Do you have parents who exhibit one or more of these symptoms of advancing years? Do they use marijuana? If the answer is no, they do not, and probably in most cases that's the answer, you need to speak with them about using marijuana, or should I say cannabis. The
Yes, thank you.
idea, yeah, the idea of speaking with your parents about using cannabis, especially those whose parents followed the DARE manual, may seem quixotic at best, but for the health and especially for their quality of life, you owe it to your parents to at least sit down and make the attempt. If you're not sure how to do it, here are some suggestions that I, as a nurse, have found to be very effective. First off, if you use cannabis, you're going to have to fess up. If you don't, they might reasonably question why you would urge them to use something that you won't use, like it really is a deadly drug, and you want to knock them off so as to claim your insurance quickly. After fessing up, give them the concrete examples of how the use of cannabis has improved your life. Discuss how it reduces your pain, relieves your depression, or helps you get a good night's sleep. Point out that cannabis has safely mitigated these problems and at the same time enabled you to reduce your reliance on prescription pharmaceuticals like Vicodin, Zoloft, or Ambien. If you know of a family member or friends of theirs who use cannabis, provided they would not mind being outed, urge your parents to talk with them about their use. If, like most people, you use cannabis for stress relief, anxiety control, and as an alcohol mood alteration substitute, say so. Explain the relaxation, comfort, and warmth you experience when you smoke cannabis. Point out the many benefits of using cannabis to socialize with, such as it doesn't lead to violence, vomiting, passing out, and hangovers. Help them understand that using cannabis will be a pleasant and enjoyable experience while it works to mitigate whatever ailments are destroying their quality of life. Calm their nerves by providing them with the names of famous people who have used cannabis, like Carl Sagan, Louis Armstrong, Kareem Abdul Jabbar, Queen Victoria, Jackie Gleason, Raji Dangerfield, Barack, I inhale cannabis frequently, Obama, to name a minuscule few. For a lot, you really a lot of famous people have used cannabis. By the way, if you want to find a list of names of people who use cannabis that your parents would admire and you would admire too, go to any search engine and just enter famous people that use cannabis. You will be absolutely amazed at the famous people who have been public about it. Whether your parents suffer from pain, insomnia, depression, or alcoholism, provide scholarly articles, and they hopefully will read but still look impressive even if they don't. An excellent booklet, Emerging Clinical Applications for Cannabis and Cannabinoids, can be downloaded from the Normal website. That's norml.com, normal.com. The first time it is important your parents says, so what do you do to get them to do it? Well, the first time it's important your parents feel safe and comfortable. Doing it at their home would be ideal, as it's not a good idea from the drive home after having consumed cannabis for the first time. Make a date to come over for an early evening dessert party. Along with their favorite dessert, bring your favorite cannabis. The question then becomes the best way for your parents to consume cannabis. I do not believe edibles are a good idea for first time consumption. The major problem is dosage. If it is too little, you won't know for about an hour, and then they need to eat more and wait another hour. You have to be careful, as you certainly don't want them to overdose on their first time. Granted, overdosing is not going to hurt them, but it is not comfortable and will make their first time use unpleasant, making them unwilling to try again. Inhaling is generally the best method as the effect is fairly quick, and your parents will easily titrate the dose needed to achieve the therapeutic relief they desire. If they recoil at the idea of smoking, then get a vaporizer. If you don't have a vaporizer, then get or borrow one. Your parents are worth it. Or you could also use oil and get a vape pen. That works very well too. Having shared a joint, pipe, bong, vaporizer, or pen with your parents, bring out the desserts, put on their favorite tunes, sit back, relax, and enjoy a sublime and memorable evening with your parents for the first time. That's what cannabis can do for your parents. So, hey,
You want to
do it
make
on
sure
Father's Day. Do it on Father's Day.
you want to make sure that there's lots of munchies available too.
Well, as I said, bring out their favorite dessert. The
Oh,
dessert they'll be better than ever. Better than ever. Okay. Well, what else? We have about 5 or 6 minutes left, gentlemen. What should we talk about in this last 5 or 6 minutes? Anything anybody
well,
really has?
I'm trying to understand the push to have our parents use marijuana because aren't they already doing so?
The actually yes the more and more people are using it, but still it's a minority of people. It's a minority, and
Well, that might be because it's illegal in a lot of places in the United
well,
States.
even here in California, I mean, I know a lot of people. Well, like I'm active in the Riverside County Democratic Party. A lot of elderly people are involved in the Riverside County Democratic Party, and most of them don't use cannabis. They're not opposed to it being legal, but they still don't use it. So
Oh,
you gotta convince them why it is good for them to use. But I will admit, more and more people, I am running into more and more people all the time. They're using. In fact, the number of people that use cannabis. There's more people that use cannabis now than use tobacco. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
What?
to me,
Where's that
strange.
statistic come from?
I read it somewhere. I mean, I can look it up right now if you want me to look it up.
Yeah,
It's a real statistic. It really is. I
yeah.
think it's like
I'd
I
like to
think they.
know.
Let me
I
see.
hadn't heard that before.
That was
I
surprising to me because my the my life, even when I was in this is like in the 70s, the all the adults in my life were using marijuana at that time. That's why it kind of surprised me that there aren't more people that do that.
well,
And
let
this
me
was
see.
Can,
in
can, can, can
where it
we
was
please
illegal.
stop using the M word?
The what?
The M word. I mean, if you're not going to call an African American a nigger,
Oh,
if you're not going to call a Mexican American a speck, you shouldn't be calling cannabis marijuana because that's the way marijuana was used. That word marijuana was used.
all right. Let's
It's a
see if I can
racial
find something
pejorative.
here. Let's see. Let me see. Cannabis use versus tobacco use, and let's see what I've got here. Let me join you. Oh, let's see. Let me put in here percent using. Maybe that's what I should have put in. Percent using. And let's see here. All right. Got 5 minutes. Okay. Oh boy. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Amount of tobacco use
Well, you
in the
don't
U.S.
have to look it up now. I mean, we can talk about it next week or something. But
Okay, I'll bring it next week, and
that's a fantastic statistic.
it says most adults use tobacco. It's gonna talk about I can't read it here. I'll have to find it. I'll bring it next time. But what I've read is that 12% of the population now uses tobacco, and a higher percentage of that uses cannabis. And of course, that's really good because tobacco. But we're still the number of deaths in the United States from tobacco use is around 400,000 a year. So obviously, there's still a lot of people using tobacco, or we wouldn't have that high amount of deaths. So I'm going to look that up. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I will admit it, just like I admitted I was wrong about my idea that we could Democrats can take over control of Congress before 2026 by impeaching uh, elected senators and vulnerable senators and representatives. And it turns out that you can't impeach federal elected officials because the Constitution doesn't allow it. Big mistake. Actually, when I did the research on that, it turns out that they actually did debate. The founding fathers, when they drafted the Constitution, did debate whether to allow recall of elected officials, and they chose not to. They chose actually not to put that into the Constitution. So that's that.
Wow.
Yeah, big mistake, huh? Well, maybe. I guess it depends on whether which side of the issue you're on there. Well, okay. Um, Next week, I want to mention that last 2 weeks ago, we were going to have a person named William Albright. Was his last name? I can't. Sam, what's his name?
Calderon.
Aldrin. Calderon. Yes, William
Calderon.
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 Right. He is a leading cannabis activist in the country of Colombia, which used to be a narco state, but has undergone an amazing transformation. And now they are probably one of the leading Latin American countries in the legalization and the normalization of the use of cannabis. And he is one of the people who is been one of the in the forefront of bringing this about. And he was going to be on our show a couple of weeks ago, and we had some technical difficulties. We couldn't hear him and this kind of stuff. The other day, we did a run through using the new system that KCA uses, and it worked perfectly. So he is going to be here next Tuesday. And he has a fascinating story. He's got a credentials on the length of his arm on this particular issue. You're going to find him. I had a chance to talk with him for a few minutes when we did doing the run through, and he is a fascinating individual. So don't miss it next week at 2 p.m. here on KCA on Lanny Sense. We're going to be interviewing this individual, and it's interesting. His English is not that good. I mean, his English is way better than my Spanish, but we will actually have a person there who will help translate for him if he has trouble providing you with the correct information. So put that down on your calendar. Be sure and join us next Tuesday when we bring you one of the people who actually helped change Colombia from a narco state to a cannabis state. So that's
Aren't you headed there, Sam? Aren't you headed to Colombia?
Well, for security reasons, I don't want to discuss publicly what my plans in the future are.
Oh,
But I
okay.
did go there 2 weeks ago. And the Ecuadorian dream is the Ecuadorian nightmare. Colombia has completely changed from what it was 30 years ago with Pablo Escobar. And I am considering it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to get going. I can kind of hear the music in the background. That means Eric is telling me it's time to wrap up the show. So, Gregory,
Okay.
thank you for joining us as always. Sam, thank you for being on as well. Please join us next week when we bring you the gentleman from Colombia. This is Lanny Swirl saying, hey, we are on KCA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And this is Lanny Sense, the show that leaves no gender behind. Good night.
Don't go away, Sam.
Bye-bye.
Don't go away.
Huh?
I need a phone number. You wanted me to send you something.
Oh, yeah. And
NBC News.
Don't give it out now.
WhatsApp,
I'm not
Gregory?
Sponsored by